Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to our lecturer, Dr. Ani Mazlina Dewi binti Muhammad, and to our fellow friends. Welcome to the class SED 651 Motor Learning Applying in Physical Education. First of all, I want to introduce my group members. First is Muhammad Ashrafatullah bin Muhammad Isa from Group B. Second is Muhammad Fahmi bin Dawood from Group A. Third is Muhammad Nakib bin Muhammad Fazil from Group A. And last is me, Salihah binti Abdul Aziz from Group A. Lesson for the day is Memory Components, Strategies and Forgetting. There are 4 learning outcomes. First, describe the memory components. Second, describe stages of memory. Third, describe the memory strategies. And last, describe the memory forgetting. Before we go through to our slide, let me show you a video that related with our topic. Okay, this video is about our brain, which is memory. It shows that how we organize new information to put in our memory for later use, and then how we maintain the information into our storage, which is we save the new information into our memory. As you can see, this boy tried to recall what he studied before, and he recognized all the answers in the multiple choice question. He also can remember every planet name because of the difference of color. Color is a key which help us easy to remember. For those who want to remember what you studied before, you can use color to jot down your note, and then use graphic, which is picture or my map, and then use acronym words to remember all the information. Okay, we go to the next slide. What is memory? Memory is ability to encode, store, retain, and subsequently recall information and past experience in the human brain. Okay, the information we save it into our memory can use later. For example, before this we learn about motor abilities. Am I right? Okay, do you still remember about what is perceptual motor abilities? If you remember that information, you save it into our memory, so we can use it later. Okay, when we can use this information, we can use during examination or test, and then any situation that suitable with the concept. Okay, this point is about memory component. Okay, there are 4 memory component. First is learning, second recall, third recognition, and last retention. Okay, we go to the next slide. First is learning. Learning and memory are closely related. Learning is the acquisition from skill or knowledge. From learning, we can get the information and then we put that information in our memory for later use. While memory is the expression of what we have acquired. Without memory, it is difficult for us to remember and apply that information. The second component is recall, which means we remember the previous information and getting the information out from the brain. Okay, for example, it's about name. You meet your old friend and suddenly you ask yourself, what is his name? Okay, sometimes you cannot remember his name, but you already know there is someone you have met before. Okay. Okay, second example is sports shoes brand. Okay, when I talk about sports shoes brand, you will probably think about Adidas, Nike, Reebok, and SC. This is because you already heard, seen, or known that brand name. Okay. The third memory component is recognition. It is brain ability to identify stimuli like situation, places, object, people, and so on that you have seen or heard before. And it is required a cue in order to remember something. For example, taking multiple choice test require you to identify material you learn. This is because multiple choice test has several answers. This answer is a cue for you to choose and relate with your previous learning. For the last memory component is retention. It is about making new knowledge stick in our memory. So, new information is transferred from our short-term storage to our long-term storage. For example, walking. When you as a child, you learn how to walk. You also make a count of each step while learning to walk. So, this new knowledge stick in our memory, and then we apply and practice every day. When adult, you can walk without thinking every step. Okay, how does memory work? So there are 3 stages in memory work. First is encoding, second is storage, third is retrieval. So we go to the first stage. Encoding is the process of receiving the information through our sense, such as smell, sight, touch, sound, and taste. Encoding, also known as getting the information into our brain and transfer the information to the second stage, which is storage. The second stage in memory work is storage, which means the information is retained in memory over a period of time. In simple definition is storage can maintaining the information in our brain for later use. The last is retrieval, which means the ability to access the information when you need it. It is also known as getting the information out from brain for daily use. It also involves recall or recognition that related previous encoded or store the information. For example, when you already learned how to kick a ball, so you can apply during practice, tournament, or leisure time. Another example is if you meet someone for the first time, you need encode his name, which for example, his name is Ahmad, while you associate his name with his face. Okay, then you need to maintain the information for over a period of time, which means that information retained in brain for later use. If you see Ahmad a week later, you need to recognize his face. Okay, his face gives you a cue to retrieve his name. When you recognize his face, you know, oh, this is Ahmad. Okay, so that's all from me. I will pass to my second presenter. Bye.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Muhammad Nakib bin Mak Fazil. Okay, today I am the second presenter for this group, and my topic is types of memory. So I have bring to you there are 8 types of memory. So don't worry, we will go through one by one. Okay, now go look at the first slide. Okay, you can see there are 3 types of memory. Okay, first thing first, I want you to know that these 3 types of memory are the major component in memory. Okay, first is sensory memory, second is short-term memory, third is long-term memory. Okay, after this, Ashrafatullah will explain more detail in terms of stages of memory processing. Okay, so we go through. First is sensory memory. Sensory memory, everything that we get information from our sense. Example like taste, visual, hearing, audio. Okay, so that's include in sensory memory. Okay, another example like we taste salt. Okay, after that we know, okay, salt is salty. Okay, we taste sugar. Okay, sugar is sweet. Okay, we grab sand. Okay, we know the texture of sand. We know the texture of soil. That's include in sensory memory. After that, Ashrafatullah will explain more detail. Okay, okay. Second is short-term memory. Short-term memory is the memory that we need to remember in short time. Maybe because of the unnecessarily we to remember. Okay, for example, I give you one scene. Okay. Okay, Yazid. We take a close example so we can more remember. Okay, okay, Yazid. Yazid and Dayu. Okay. InsyaAllah after this they will marry. Amin. So one day parent Yazid want to come visit their first grandchildren. Okay. So their Yazid's parents came from Pahang. From Pahang to go to Selangor. Okay. So on the first day after the parents arrived, Dayu have planned to cook some special meal. Yes, of course. Bang, hari ni kita masak nasi ayam lah. Dah mak nak mai kan. So Dayu plan to cook chicken rice. So as usual, we as a husband will go to supermarket to buy ingredients, to buy chicken and so on. So Dayu says to Yazid, bang, beli ni lah, beli tomato, timun, lepas tu beli ayam 2 ekor. Okay, example. Okay, Yazid go to supermarket and buy tomatoes, buy cucumber, buy chicken and bring back home. So Yazid after finish, they will not Yazid will not memorize. Yazid unnecessary to remember what ingredient that he need to buy just now. Okay, that the work have done there. Okay, that short-term memory. So the ingredient that Yazid need to buy at supermarket, that is only short-term memory. Okay, so understand. Okay, long-term memory a little bit more complex than short-term memories. So and long-term memory also is the last process in memory development in our brain. Okay, long-term memory include many things. Example like experience, our best experience, bad experience, our knowledge. So they are under long-term memory, and under long-term memory also there are several types of memory that relate with that I have said before, which is experience or drama or something. Okay, we will go through. Go to the next slide. Okay, look at the first point is explicit memory. Explicit memory is one of the type in long-term memory. Okay, explicit memory, you need to a memory that you need to take time to think, or you need to remember. After a few minutes or few seconds, then you can recall it. Example like number plate, for example. You need to take time to recall your, or ataupun contoh yang lain, contoh pada umur 10 tahun dulu kita pernah bela kucing nama Abu. So bila main umur 25 ni, kita macam apa kucing aku bela dulu umur 22 times 10 tahun dulu. Kita macam Abu. So kita macam take time sikit nak ingat balik nama kucing kita, tapi kita still boleh ingat. So yang tu masuk dalam explicit memory. Okay, so you go to the second. Second is episodic memory. Okay, episodic memory relate to our own personal life that I have mentioned before. Maybe some drama happen to us, maybe some experience that happened to us, incident, tragedy, that's include in episodic memory. But in episodic memory, we cannot remember accurately. We cannot remember accurately because of Okay, for example, we have a bad accident. Okay, for example, we have bad incident. So during the accident, we know, maybe we can know the date, the time, night or day. Okay, maybe that's we will know, but we cannot exactly we cannot exactly know how it happened. Maybe the car turn around or tergolek ke macam tu. So tak boleh, episode memory ni kita tak boleh exactly tahu yang betul-betul tepat ya. Tapi kita still boleh, dulu pernah accident dulu macam ni time ni teruk macam tu lah. Okay, yang tu episodic memory. Okay, yang seterusnya, the next is semantic memory. Semantic memory is general knowledge of the world. It's very, very simple. Okay, everyone know the sky is blue, the grass is green, the giraffe have long neck, elephant is big. So that's semantic memory. Okay, very simple. Okay, for the last slide, they have two type of memory, which is implicit memory and procedural memory. Okay, first is implicit memory, is the second major type of long-term memory. Okay, explicit memory also include under long-term memory. So how it work? Okay, implicit memory is a memory that we do not have to struggle to recall, because we always remember. Okay, for example, our home address, for example, our phone number. Another S is our road, perjalanan jalan yang kita selalu lalu. Okay, so kalau kita dah selalu lalu jalan tu, kita takkan lupa lah. Kita dah mahir lah dengan selok belok jalan tu semua kan. Okay, yang tu masuk dalam implicit memory. Okay, next is lastly procedural memory. Okay, procedural memory dia berkait dengan implicit memory. Okay, procedural memory ni macam mana? Procedural memory ni more to our daily life activities. Example like walking, drinking, eating, what else? Driving a car, ride a bicycle, ride a motorcycle. So that's include in procedural memory. Okay. And procedural memory and implicit memory ni, mereka saling macam ada link. Okay, for example, kita bawa kereta, kita nak balik. Kita lalu jalan yang memang kita tahu jalan tu. So road yang kita guna tu, itu adalah implicit memory, and driving a car is a procedural memory. Okay, thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon to our friends and our beloved lecturer, Dr. Ani. So thank you to Nakib. I will continue the presentation. Before I start, I will introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Ashrafatullah bin Muhammad Isa, and I will continue this presentation with the stages of memory. Actually, there are 3 stages of memory, which is first, sensory memory, second, short-term memory, and lastly, long-term memory. So we're gonna look one by one. What is the sensory memory for the first? Sensory memory holds the representation of sensory input for a brief period of time, depending on the modality involved. There are different sensory registered for each of the sense. Okay, sensory memory ni dia senang cerita apa yang kita nampak. Dengan kata mudah, contoh sekarang ni sensory memory, kita tengok slide, kita ada nampak sensory memory, kita nampak short term memory, kita nampak long term memory. So gambar ni adalah sensory, which is macam saya kata tadi, there are different sensory register for each of the sense. Sensory kita tahu ada dua, satu visual, satu lagi auditory. So for the visual register, for the visual register it called iconic memory, and the auditory register it called echoic memory. So this is the example we look at. This slide is the sensory memory. Sensory memory ni ada large capacity, which is kita boleh tengok benda banyak kan, so kita boleh ada benda kita boleh ingat, and kita ingat tu which is longer, around 30 seconds to 10 seconds, which is 10 to 30 seconds. Sometimes we can remember. So most of the information that enter our sensory register is lost because we do not attend to all that is register. Whatever we attend to move on the next stage of memory. So macam ni. Contohnya kalau kita tengok tapi kita tak fokus benda tu, so benda tu akan jadi short term memory. Kalau kita fokus, kita tengok benda tu, dia akan jadi long term memory. Itu contoh mudah untuk sensory memory ni. Okay, so we gonna move to the short term memory. As we know, short term memory adalah benda yang singkat kita ingat, which is the function is continuous processing of information where information is actively worked on. Contoh macam kita sekarang ni tengah tengok, kita tengok sensory memory, short term memory, long term memory. Kalau saya tanya kamu apa itu type of memory, ada sebilangan daripada kita tak dapat ingat sebab dia akan tengok benda tu, dia akan ingat certain, dia tak dapat ingat semua jenis-jenis type of memory tu. So dia akan jadi short term kita tengok. From the sensory, kita tengok daripada mata, kita tengok slide, so ada benda kita ingat, ada benda kita tak ingat. Kalau ingat pun ada beberapa masa kita tengok tu kita ingat. Oh, contoh dalam slide type of memory ada implicit memory, ada procedural memory, but benda tu sensory kita tengok, sebab tu kita ingat short term. So short term ni dia punya capacity dia limited. Kadang bila kita dah hafal kita ingat, bila kita dah keluarkan balik tu kita lupa. Ini short term memory. Okay, for the short term memory ni, kalau kita nak hafal atau kita nak ingat, kita kena repeat lah benda tu, kita tengok, kita kena baca balik semula. So benda tu kita akan tengok pada slide akan datang. So now we gonna move to the long term memory. What is long term memory? Long term memory is one information passes from sensory to working memory. It can be encoded into long term memory. Maksudnya kita tengok benda tu, contoh kita ingat stages of memory ni kita tahu ada 3. So kalau kita dapat faham, kita rasa benda ni, input ni penting, otak kita akan encode benda ni, and dia akan jadi long term memory. Kita akan ingat stages of memory ni ada 3, which is sensory, short term and long term. So untuk long term memory ni, function dia is organize and store information, which is more passive from form of a storage than working memory. Maksudnya dia akan ingat lah. Contoh long term memory ni paling mudah bila kita mengalaminya benda tu. Macam mana? Kita jatuh, kita rasa sakit. Dalam memori kita, okay, akan ingat. Jatuh, akan ada rasa sakit. Macam tu. So long term memory ni, dia punya capacity is unlimited, because banyak benda kita boleh ingat. Contoh nombor telefon, sebab benda tu penting, kita rasa benda tu kita akan guna banyak kali, dia akan jadi long term memory. Nombor telefon, alamat rumah kita. Lagi kalau kita bersukan, skill, how to dribble, how to kick, how to stop the ball, benda tu akan jadi long term memory. Maksudnya kita tahu step tu macam mana, nak stop bola tu macam mana, nak passing tu nak guna belah dalam ataupun belah luar. Kalau kita benda jadi long term memory sebab kita selalu guna. Okay, that's for long term memory. Okay, dalam long term memory ni, encoding process that control movement from working to long term memory store. Maksud macam saya cakap tadi lah, contoh kita bermain bola, kita nak passing ataupun kita nak ambil free kick, macam mana kita nak buat? Kita nak sepak sekuat hati ataupun kita nak buat knuckleball. So benda tu ada kat dalam memori kita, macam mana teknik kita nak buat. So bila kita nak keluar tu, maksudnya retrieval process that controls flow information from long term to working memory store. Okay, itu untuk long term memory. Okay, now we gonna move to the next slide. So now we gonna present about strategies or method of memories. Actually, in this of strategies of memory or method of memory, there are 9. So we're gonna look one by one, which is first we're gonna use a whole method. Under this method, the whole subject matter is learned at a time. Under this method, the lesson is read from the beginning to the end, and this method is quite useful for smaller lesson. Okay, I will give the easy example. Contohnya, kita belajar satu subjek. Contoh subjek kita belajar sekarang ni, apply motor learning in physical education. Contoh chapter 1, kita belajar terus satu chapter tu sebab dia kecil kan, dia dah kecil, kita terus baca je, kita baca ulang kali untuk hafal chapter 1. Dalam chapter 1 tu ada apa. Okay, itu kata mudahnya. Next, we gonna move to the second point is part method. Part method, here the subject matter is divided into separate part. Okay, as example, kita belajar subjek kita sekarang ni, kan ada chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. So kita divide part by part. So senang kita untuk menghafal benda tu. Okay, for the third is break or interval method. Here the subject matter is learned by taking interval. Learning things over long time continuously may weaken memory. It relax the mind and reduce learning. So macam ni. Contoh kita dah belajar satu jam, 2 jam. Benda tu kalau kita belajar, kita tak rehat, dia akan makin melemahkan memori kita. So untuk lagi efisien, kita study 10 minit, kita take 5. Ataupun kita study 15 minit ke 20 minit, dan kita take 5, dan kita continue balik. So benda tu akan membuatkan kita rasa tak bosan, satu, and otak kita tak penat sangat sebab kita selang-seli, kita ada relax dalam otak kita. Okay, for the fourth point is the continuous method. Under this method, the whole subject matter is memorized in one sitting without giving a break in between. This method is effective for immediate memory. Contoh macam kita nak exam, kita nak final, kita akan try read satu chapter terus sebab kita nak cepat. Benda tu senang cerita untuk kita nak guna sekejap je, kita hafal sekejap. Macam tu continuous method ni. Then now kita dekat active method. What is active method? Under this method, the subject matter is memorized by speaking loudly. This method is more beneficial for children. Okay, contoh kita nak menghafal ayat atau menghafal apa benda yang kita nak cakap time kita presentation. Benda ni adalah sangat efisien. Contoh kita cakap kuat-kuat, kita cakap depan cermin, kita cakap apa benda. So benda tu lagi membuatkan kita lagi cepat untuk menghafal benda tu. And then passive method. Under this method, the subject matter is learned silently. For the passive method ni, kita belajar bukan belajar tu secara senyap. Maksudnya kita memerhatikan, kita still keep belajar benda tu. So supaya kita lagi mudah faham mengenai subjek yang kita nak belajar tu. And then okay, this point is association method. Here the subject matter is correlated to any other important subject matter by which there are less chance of forgetting the subject matter. Okay, untuk association method ni kita kaitkan dengan benda yang kita dah belajar. Okay, untuk memudahkan, contoh kita nak belajar teknik sepak bola, kita belajar knuckleball. Okay, untuk relatekan knuckleball dengan sepak biasa maksudnya kita rembat ke, kita ambil free kick ke. sepak biasa placing kita guna inside foot. But when we wanna do the knuckleball, we use the outside foot. So benda tu related. Related. So that is association method. So next, we gonna move to the learning by activity. So learning by the activity, which is the subject matter is learned through an activity by which all sense of the child become active and it help to memorize easily and conveniently. Okay, kadang-kadang kita belajar, kita just tengok pada teori, kita susah nak ingat. Contohnya macam dalam subjek kita belajar sekarang ni, kita ambil method of kita nak mengajar orang. Adakah guna kita guna student centered or teacher centered. So bila kita dah ingat, kalau kita nak buat student centered, kita akan buat ramai-ramai. Maksudnya kita sebagai guru, kita akan biarkan pelajar tu buat sendiri untuk dia orang refer kawan-kawan dia orang. Kalau teacher centered, cikgu akan mengajar dan budak-budak perlu mendengar arahan cikgu. So benda tu lah learning by activity. So untuk kita mudahkan atau kita ingat atau kita faham benda tu. And lastly is repetition method. Here the subject is repeat at the end of the lesson. Generally the more time given to repeat of a subject, the more is memorized. Maksudnya kita ulang balik apa yang kita dah belajar. Kita ulang sampai kita ingat. Now we're gonna move to the factors that influencing memory. There are 6 factors that can influencing our memory, which is first, physical and mental health. A physical and mentally healthy individual can learn a new topic soon. Disease body and mind weaken our memory. As we know, kalau kita tak sihat, so susah kita nak belajar, kita nak adapt kita punya tajuk baru ataupun subjek baru. Next, motivation. Motivation occupies a very prominent place in memory. Motivation makes a difficult task easy. Maksudnya, contohnya kalau kita ada motivasi yang bagus, so kita nak belajar benda baru, kita nak faham benda baru, kita nak ingat benda baru, lebih mudah. For the third point is desire to learn. Desire or curiosity to learn also influence on memory. No task can be accomplished by pressure. So macam kita nak belajar tu lah, kalau kita belajar secara sukarela, benda tu lebih mudah untuk kita adapt, kita faham, kita hafal. Contoh kalau kita dipaksa untuk belajar sebab tak ada minat, so benda tu akan kacau kita punya emotional. So benda tu akan mengganggu lah kita punya factors memory tu. And then for the fourth point is subject matter. If the subject matter is simple, clear, interesting and useful, it's easy to us to memorize the subject or the matter. Contohnya macam kita nak belajar sesuatu, kita belajar daripada simple to complex. Kalau kita terus belajar ke complex saja, susah untuk kita adapt atau kita faham benda tu. Lagi kita nak mengingat benda tu sebab kita tak ada basics. At least when we have a basics, which is from the simple to complex, easy to us to understand. And then method of learning. The method of learning has influence on memory. If the method suitable to the subject is not adapted, the children never learn or memorize it. So macam kita nak belajar, cara kita belajar. Contoh ada seseorang, dia lebih mudah belajar mengenai teori saja, tapi ada orang lebih mudah belajar dia doing practical. Dia buat benda tu, dia lagi mudah faham. Bila dia buat benda tu, dia mudah faham lagi lah, dan dia lebih cepat untuk dapat mengingat subjek tu. Last not least is testing. So testing ni maksudnya test. Kita uji diri kita untuk ingat benda tu. Kalau kita tak uji, so kita tak tahu kita mengingati ataupun tidak subjek tu. So that's all for the factors of influencing memory. Jika ada apa-apa masalah atau ketidakfaham, nanti at the end of this presentation, kamu boleh bertanya. So I will let you guys to fahmi to continue his presentation about forgetting. That's all for me. Thank you.
Welcome to Life Noggin. The brain is a pretty cool organ, but sometimes it can fail us, like when we forget someone's name or blank on a test. But how can someone just forget something like that? Well, to start off, I want you to imagine what a penny looks like. You're probably imagining Abraham Lincoln looking off to the right and that the coin is copper. But you probably didn't recall the phrase above the Lincoln Memorial on the back of the penny. If you did, congrats. But the reason we may have not remembered every single aspect of the coin is because, frankly, it doesn't matter. All we need to know is how to distinguish a penny from any other coin, so we only remember the important parts and store them in our long-term memory. All of the small details of any experience, like you watching this video for example, are combined into one event in your brain's hippocampus. You are essentially a network of neurons that records the association linked to the memory, and any of those associations, like hearing the name Blocko, can bring back that memory. But problems arise when there is more than one memory associated with a given cue. If you ever met someone who looks like an old friend, it may be difficult to remember this new person's name, because that face already has some other meaning to you, and the memories are interfering with each other. Decay theory states that a memory slowly fades over time if it's not rehearsed often, so if you do not frequently think about something, you'll forget it. It makes sense, but you also have to be paying attention in the first place if you ever want to recall that information. So what is something that you always forget? Did you forget it? I'm terrible with birthdays, but luckily Facebook is there to save the day. Speaking of which, if you want to, you can follow me on there. As usual, I'll be answering a new question every Thursday, so ask anything you want to know in the comments or on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Blocko, this has been Life Noggin. Don't forget to keep on thinking.
Assalamualaikum and hi. So, you have watched the video that I showed before. So can you get the idea from the video? Do you remember or not? Based from the previous video, it shows about how people forget. So we also face the situation of forgetting. For example, we don't remember what do we wear last week or maybe last month. Do you remember or not? What do you wear or do you eat last week? Can you tell me? Please give some response to the comment. Maybe I know what you wear or you eat last week. Before we go further about forgetting, we must know about the definition of forgetting. So, what is forgetting? So, forgetting is failure to recall or to perform previously learned. So, we tend to forget about what we learn or we perform. For example, like me, I'm a Dikir Barat performer. So sometimes I will forget about the step, how to do some movement. There are two types of forgetting. First is natural forgetting. Second is morbid forgetting. So for natural forgetting, occur with lack of time, quite normal, without any intention. And morbid forgetting is we want to forget things because that is our bad experience that we want to remove from our head and memory. So there is the difference, intention and without intention. Before I go further, I have one question for all of you. What is the word that written at my cap? Do you remember or not? Please give the answer at the comment. There are 5 causes of forgetting. First is meaningless content. Second is time lapse. Third is anxiety. Fourth is mental conflict, and last but not least is illegal substance. So I will explain one by one. First is meaningless content. For example, when we scroll up to our Facebook page, we will saw an advertisement that we not interested to see. So we just scroll until we found something that we interested to read. So that is the example of the meaningless content, the content that we do not interested to know and to see. That's why we tend to forget about the advertisement that we saw previously. Second is time lapse. For example, we got the information before, but if we do not rehearsal or try to recall the information that we had learned before, we starting slowly to become fade and disappear from our memory. That is the cause of forgetting. That is mental conflict. So the mental will affect our memory. So if I'm in a stress mood, that will affect my memory. I will tend to forget some information that I got before this, because I'm in a stress mode that will affect my performance and also my memory. Next is learning method. Everyone have their way of learning. So for example, like in the final exam, I will write on the paper what I want to remember, and if I borrow from my friend, I cannot remember what the information that have in the paper, because there is the difference between my method and my friend method. So this is the example of the learning method. Last but not least, the causes of forgetting is illegal substance. For example, if you drink alcohol, you will tend to forget, because you can see from the news about the alcoholic people that drive and hit people. They in alcohol influence, that's why they cannot control their body like normal people, and that will cause their memory to forget. So like we see in the movie, at the night they have party, and when they woke up in the morning, they just do not remember what happened last night. Now we will continue on theories of forgetting. There are 4 theories of forgetting. First is trace decay forgetting. Second is interference forgetting. Third is failure retrieval forgetting. And lastly is motivated theories. For the first theories is trace decay memory. So the easy word is decay memory. Why we have decay memory? Over time, our memory biologically degenerated because of the increasing of our age. So the main idea of the trace decay memory is, over time, memories will fade. All people experience this trace decay memory. So for example, we have a happy memory before this, when we still kid, but now do we remember all of the happy memory? Second theory is interference theory. So interference theory have 2. First is proactive and second is retroactive. So for proactive, the proactive words mean driven. In other words, the old stuff that we learn, keep recalling in our new stuff. Okay, do you get it? The picture. For example, I will give like you create a new password now, but when you try to log in, you will still remember the old password, or you still write the old password that the interference happen. You still write the old password. For retroactive, it's mean action directed backward. So you can see the difference: proactive forward, retroactive backward. In other words, new learning recall old information. For example, we move from the old house to the new house, from the Kelantan to the Shah Alam. After we stay a while, someone asking our old address. So at that time, we will feel interference because we can remember our old address. Somehow we stay at the Kelantan for so long, but we cannot remember the address. That is the interference. After that, we will move to the retrieval failure theory. How this happen? I think you all experience this. I will give some example. Like I saw an animal, but I think I know the real name, but I keep recalling my memory. What is the name of the animal? But someone give an clue or cue for me, like alphabet, like A, and then we remember the real name of the animal. Oh, that the name of the animal. The situation called is tip of tongue phenomena, because we know the name but we cannot remember the real name, the detail about someone. In other example, like someone asking our real friend name, but we keep recalling the real name because we used to call them in their short name or their nickname. Like we call Cibut, his real name is Faiz Izzat, but somehow we will forget about the real name, and we take time to recall Faiz Izzat name. Last but not least, motivated forgetting. So the meaning of the motivated forgetting is we tend to block our negative, threatening or painful memories because we want to forget all of the memory. Motivated forgetting have two types: conscious and unconscious. So I will give some situation. Tengku talk with Rafi about Kak cat that died last month, and Kak hear the conversation and she felt so sad and said to them, don't talk about it anymore, because she really feel painful inside because she lost the cat that she loved. So based on the situation, Kak situation is called suppression or conscious. So Kak conscious and know about her cat died. That's why she felt so sad. And for repression, the situation is Yazid had accident when he was 5 years old, and then he do not remember all the traumatic event that called repression or unconscious.